Okay, this is 3D modular design with a focus in game environment work, and today, before we get into modeling and implementation in your 3D package, I want to go over a couple of basics. What is modular design? Well, it is a concept of breaking large set pieces down into manageable chunks that can be reused later. And it's also a system of interlocking pieces that, when implemented correctly, create an asset that appears unique. We are dealing with two concepts here. One is the idea that you take an environment and you break it down into modular sections. Sections that can be reused, tiled, and copied throughout your level. The other is those reused and tiled copies do not have to be noticeable. There are ways to hide that. I have an example here. Here we have a building that seems fairly complex at first glance. You have various geometrical shapes, patterns, designs, different textures, different material types. You have stone, brick, wood, metal trim, wooden trim, windows. This would seem fairly complex and something that would require a unique asset creation to get the job done. In actuality, though, this concept is fairly modular. I've gone ahead and colored in areas that can be created once and instanced across the model. As you can see, complex shapes and forms easily become manageable sized chunks that you, the artist, can use over and over again across your level. Okay, so why modular? Why create an asset one time and then copy it or instance it across your level? Well, you get an increased performance through instancing, and this is the idea that game engines in general will load your object into memory one time, and then subsequent copies of that object will not have to be reloaded into memory. It also allows for faster development and rapid prototyping. This is the idea that you spend time on 5 to 10 set pieces and then go to town building levels and areas with those 5 to 10 pieces without having to uniquely model and unwrap and texture those pieces over and over again. Instead of spending hours and hours creating the same window sill over and over again, you create it one time and then copy it across your level. It also allows for higher resolution textures. I've put together an example here to show you exactly what I mean. So let's say, worst case scenario, your game specifications or your game engine limitations say that you can only have 1024 by 1024 texture resolution on screen at any time. If that resolution is split up between 9 unique objects, each unique object on average will receive 230 pixels per object of the texture resolution. But let's say that each unique object can be split into 2 groups and copied and instanced across your level. Those 2 groups will receive 1024 pixels per object, a huge increase in resolution. So what are some objects with modular nature? You may be saying to yourself, well, this sounds great for architectural work, but what about organic work or terrain work or things like that? Well, you'd be surprised what you can do with modularity. What sort of objects can be modular? Well, you have rock walls, stone, brick, pattern walls, roads, terrain, things like dirt, sand, mud, rocks, grass, swamps. These things can be created once and copied over and over again. Trees, foliage, small plants, building facades, especially wood planks, tiles, doors, and windows. Even entire set pieces can be used modularly throughout your level. Things like fountains or even whole entire hallways can be created once and then used across your level. Here's an example from Portal 2. This is a fairly obvious example and shows tiling textures across the wall, decals to hide those textures, instance geometry in the form of tiles here. You even have a metal texture placed across unique geometry to give the appearance of unique geometry, but in actuality the same texture is loaded multiple times here. So this is an obvious example here that you can definitely see the tiling, and it's a style that works well for Portal 2. But there is a more complex route that can be taken that isn't so obvious. So here's a screenshot from Gears of War 2. And at first glance, there seems to be a lot of unique geometry and texture space going on here, but on closer inspection, you can see that that is not the case. If you look here, this archway here, this motif, has been copied and reused throughout the side here. Same goes for these foreground columns, have been created once and copied and instanced across the level. You can also see the same idea going on here with these smaller columns being used to decorate a unique piece of geometry here. You can also see a couple different techniques for hiding modularity, such as different lighting here than there is here to give the appearance of different color shades. You have a smoke fog effect here covering up a modular design here. where you get high detail and a closer object as compared to one in the background. Okay, so that concludes this intro to 3D modular design. We will be jumping into a 3D package in part 2 of this tutorial. Also, check out our website at cscgtuts.com, where you can find more resources on computer science and graphics. And as always, don't forget to subscribe.